like, also being a celebrity, it's very cruel. And a lot of people are very rude online about if anyone gains a pound.
The internet's a mean place as we film this for the internet. So please be nice out there. We're just regular people. We're just having a drink and we're talking about things to learn about the world. Hey everyone, welcome to On Tap, or the Orbital Media show, Orbital Media podcast, depending on which of these channels you're watching it on. I'm Chris. I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy who enjoys good beer, or good beverages and good conversations, as the case may be. Today, we are joined by a special guest, Nora Foley, who is, well, Nora, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nora, and I'm a celebrity stylist based in Los Angeles.
Now, Nora, do you like beer?
No.
Why is that?
Because I have celiacs.
Okay, well, you know what that means. Well, you know what it means because you've read the questions ahead of time, but for the audience out there, we're going to be doing an episode entirely around cider. But here's the catch. I'm going to be setting a timer on my little iPhone here, and we've got to finish a cider, one that we're going to split, in 15 minutes. When the timer goes off, we have to move to the next one and keep the questions going. So, are you ready to get started?
I'm so ready.
Okay, well, let's get going. So first up, we're going to do a classic Magners. This is an Irish dry cider made out of apples. If I may?
Yes.
All right. And then I'm decent at my sort of, and then I think the last one will go to you there.
Yeah, give me the last one.
There we go. Okay, I think that's a reasonably good,
yes,
reasonably good pour.
Even, yeah.
Let's get the timer started.
All right.
15 minutes on the clock. And go.
And chin.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, what do you think about that?
Tastes like Ireland.
It tastes like Ireland. It's very dry. One thing I really like about certain ciders, especially English and Irish ciders, is they're not too sweet. They're very dry, and they're sort of I don't feel like I'm drinking apple juice with lots of sugar in it. I feel like I'm drinking something much more grown up.
It's still a little, like, I could go a little drier, but, like, this is very, like, exactly. It's not like those really, really sweet ones, but you get the little taste of apple.
So, so you've worked as a stylist, but obviously we don't just magically come to wherever we are at any point in our lives. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. Kind of where did you grow up and how did you start on the road?
I'm originally from Chicago, and I was a theater child.
Yeah.
I grew up and I was very much like, it's funny because it's like I was a theater kid but didn't really do theater, and I expressed myself a lot of ways through fashion. Okay. And so when I was a kid, I was very emo, goth, always wearing like corsets to school, and my mom was like worried I was going to get into drugs because I was wearing a lot of black.
You still are a little bit. You still have a little bit of that style. I like it. Yeah, it's good.
And so then I ended up going to school for acting. And I really was like in the path that I was like, I was going to be an actor.
And where did you go to school for acting?
University of Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was really much in the path of, I'm going to be an actor. This is what I'm going to do. I did want to minor in fashion merchandising, but University of Illinois, not to shame them, but they didn't let me minor in anything else, because if you're an actor, you're basically in a conservatory from your junior, senior year. Yeah. So didn't do that. So then I very much, like, once I graduated college, I was like, I need to move to LA or else I'm never going to do it. I need to do it now. Just like pull the plug. Do it. I did the whole actor thing for 5 years. I, worked in restaurants, did all that kind of stuff, hated it. And it was just not what I wanted. And so then I ended up not even realizing styling was a job. And so then I started working retail, and I saw online there was some random like guy selling like styling classes. Okay. And so I was like, oh, this is like a job. So I ended up paying $900 to do it. Do I super recommend doing that? No. But I did it, and so then it like at least got me into kind of like my foot in the door. I ended up doing some music videos for friends, and then the way I really got into this was during the pandemic. Okay. Because it's really hard to start off, because the way is you start as an assistant and then move.
Okay.
And really to make your way and make money is really hard. A lot of people start as an intern.
Okay.
And with the pandemic, I was able to kind of intern and then make my
Good.
way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you became a stylist. Now, if you were at a party, let's say, and you were talking to someone and you said, I'm a stylist, and they say, what does that mean? I have literally no clue what that means, right? Like, I mean, I could tell you what my sense would be. It would be, there's going to be lots of hot lights. They're going to be sort of like glamorous actors in a chair. You're going to have like little brushes, and you're going to have like, you know, a bottle with spritz coming out of it, and you're going to spritz their hair and like touch up their face and stuff. And there's going to be lots of people running around, but then like you got to sit around and not do anything because they've got to do something else. But like what do you do?
I wish it was
Right.
like that.
Okay.
No, it's a lot of heavy lifting.
Okay.
It is not glamorous.
Okay.
As a stylist, like basically you kind of the way it goes is like you get a project, you prep for the project, so you reach out to brands, designers, showrooms. Then from there you make selects, like they'll approve the project, they'll send you things that are available, you look through them, you get them. But obviously, you with your client, you have no idea what they're feeling because, like,
Okay.
as much as you wish you could be like, I'm gonna get this one look, it's perfect. There are so many times someone's like, I'm gonna wear a suit to the Emmys, and then they come in and they're like, actually, I want to wear a ball gown.
Right.
So you have to get like a ton
Right.
of clothes. But then there's this really fine line where you don't want to over pull. That's what we call it, like pulling. So
What
you
is
want-
what does that mean?
It means like getting clothes.
Okay.
So we just use the term pull.
Okay.
Don't know. I guess just
You're pulling them
You're
off the
pulling
rack.
the
You're
clothes,
pulling the
yeah.
clothes off the rack.
Pulling the clothes
Right.
off the rack. So you don't want to over pull because then you're screwing yourself over, and then you have like 5 racks of clothing for one
Okay.
look.
Okay.
And then that's a lot of heavy lifting.
Got it.
So you want to do like the perfect amount where it's like there's enough clothes that they have enough options. So yeah, that's really, it's like most of the job is not like on set. It's mostly
Interesting.
prepping for the job, which
I
is
see.
very different from like hair and makeup, which their job is day of.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So how far out do you prep for something? I mean, it depends on the size of the job, right? But
Yeah, it depends on the size of the job, but typically like, honestly, 2 weeks, week and a half for
Okay.
typical red carpet.
okay.
But that's because a lot of these brands, they don't lend out too far in advance.
I see.
So it also depends on when your fitting is. But if it's like this big music video, then you're dealing with custom pieces, and then you have to prep way in advance. So there's like, the timeline's different, but I would say typically like 2 weeks, week and a half is like where you
Okay.
start.
And so I guess like stupid question, because you know this is why we're doing this, right? Is do you do hair and makeup as well?
No.
Well, so you do clothes.
Just clothes, yeah.
Okay.
There are always a glam team.
Okay.
Because I would be awful. I do not know how to do my own hair and makeup. So
I would disagree with that. Your hair and makeup looks lovely.
fake
But-
it till you make it. But yeah, so no, that's a completely different team, and there are times where I wish I did learn to do that because the less they do not need to carry nearly as much as we do.
I see.
So the unload, they're pretty much in, out. We're there for like, we're loading for an hour, we're unloading for an hour.
So it seems like it overlaps almost a little bit with I'm thinking like the costume department on like a movie or something.
It's
where
very similar, yeah.
you're okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's very, because it's also interesting because it's like, that's typically like, it's very similar to Sensible for one, a lot of times with like costume and wardrobe. I haven't done many movies personally, but I do know it's like a lot of times like they are, they've got period pieces.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot of like other different things. They are unionized, which is very nice.
You guys are not unionized. Ooh, okay.
I know. So, I mean, some people can be in the union while also being celebrity stylists, but then you have to keep doing union dates.
Okay.
It's a world that I'm still learning about, but I am not in the union, and I would like to get in the union. But
Right.
yeah, so it's very similar, but it's like interesting too because like with wardrobe, like with a wardrobe on a movie, it's like they're not looking for like the chicest look. They're what's
Right.
they're looking for. It's interesting because it's like they're looking for an article of clothing to represent this one character during this time.
Right.
And I love that it's effective like story or like clothing telling a story.
Yes. Okay. So Actually, I obviously I want to keep on the movie thread just because that's something I'm very interested in. I've kind of have a big background on that, but we're not a big background. I'd like to think that I do, but I'm just some guy out here, trying to fake it till I make it. Aren't we all? But you mentioned you have worked on some movies. In what capacity is that? If you're doing it as like a stylist, but it's not the same thing as like a costume designer.
So I did work on a horror film, like just like a short horror film. And the thing about that is like, it's just, you don't really go to, like, my job's very different because the whole point of brands lending to a celebrity is because they're going to get promotion. The celebrity, somehow it's going to be like, Anne Hathaway is wearing Valentino, their name is going to get out there. But by a celebrity, like other than like Gossip Girl, like they don't care, like it's people like it, but they just look for replicas. They're not going to get much press out of it. So you're really going to like rental places, like you're just finding, it's like rental places, and it's just a very different point because it's like you're not really, the prep is very different. Whereas like a celebrity stylist, like you're on your computer a lot doing all this kind of stuff. Whereas with a movie, you're like out in the world. Like you're going to like, for Sex and the City, I know the wardrobe stylist, she got everything from thrift stores.
Okay, interesting. So, okay.
So yeah.
So when you mention you're on your computer a lot, so you're doing like what does that? I guess if you took us through like the timeline, right? Like this week and a half, this 2-week window of you get a job, they say you gotta style this person, right? What happens next? Like what are the stages of that process? Okay, so
let's say you get like an actor and they have a movie premiere. So you kind of have to like, it depends, like obviously it's like, let's say I've never worked with this actor before. I have to look kind of, have a conversation with them because you want to find out like male or female, we all have parts of our body or like things that we don't like to, maybe like you want to make sure you talk to them and see where they are uncomfortable, what parts are uncomfortable showing before you even like get to the part. And then after that, once you get to kind of know their style and what they want to show, you go on like Vogue Runway and you look at runway shows and you see what designers work with this person. Like, I'm not gonna put, it's like there's certain designers that like, let's say you've got someone that's like very like quirky, I'm not gonna put them in an edgier designer unless they wanted to change their way, but like typically no. So you kind of go through because you're like, I'm not gonna reach out to everybody, so I'm gonna make a little appointed list. Who should I reach out to for this person? And then from there, then that's when you start reaching out to the brands, seeing what they have. And it is also too, it's like the one cruel world of the fashion industry is there is such a thing, at least for women, sample size, which it becomes hard because many women are not sample size.
Sample size is, if to tell everyone out there who doesn't know what sample size is.
It's like a size, I would say 2 to 4. It could be smaller than that. So like if you are a woman who, has more curves, it's harder to find brands that have samples in that size, which is messed up. But it's a lot of times because these samples are what the models wore off the runway.
Right, I see.
So that's where, like that, but that also is another thing where you're like, if you have someone who has curves, you have to think about which brands are willing to, like, who have the samples for them. And then sometimes too, you have clients who are like a Zendaya, who she's with like the face of Valentino. So she's got a contract. So there are probably brands that she cannot wear. And that's like, it gets into this weird, like, that whole market part is really, you just have to like have your focus thing, know who you're going for, and then ask them and pitch your client. So it's kind of, I guess it's similar to like an agent pitching someone for a movie. Yeah. So yeah.
And in like the old days of the studio where, let's say, or I mean, even that was more extreme, but like they might only be able to work for like Universal. They're like, they only work for Universal. So they,
It's exactly like that, where it's like, sorry, like she's with Valentino, we can't do anything. Like, That's kind of the joke right now. Is everyone with the Chanel contract, like they only wear Chanel.
They only wear Chanel.
Only wear Chanel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think it's time for us to move on to how much time do we have left? Oh, we're at 1:47. But if you want,
yeah,
should we move on to our
yeah,
next
let's
round?
move on to the next one.
All right. So our next one. And I picked this because I remember you had mentioned you were a fan of Golden State. I had never heard of Golden State before you told me about it.
It's my favorite.
This is a full pint-sized dry cider, Golden State apple cider.
They do not mess around.
We'll pour this out. This is much interesting. The color, right?
Yep.
This is a much more, what I would think of as like classic apple cider, or even kind of beer color, where it's sort of that straw yellow, very clear.
Yeah.
The Magners was interesting. It had almost like a slight pink hue
it's
to
like a darker pink.
Yeah. All right. There we go. That should be about equal there. We're gonna set the timer again. See how close we get to 15. And cheers. Let's continue on. So you work with lots of different people, lots of different clothing. There are a lot of different clothes in the world, a lot of different ways you can dress someone and style them and make them look interesting, right? So what's like a challenge that you have to face when dealing with, like you were talking about, different body types, and how do you think about, whether it's someone's skin tone or like even the face of their shape, the shape. This is drink number 2. I'm not tipsy at this point. We just started. The shape of their face, the shape of their body, all of those sorts of things, like color palettes, that kind of stuff. How do you think about that, like the artistic eye, when it comes to this sort of stuff?
Interesting question. So, it's kind of like, so I'm a redhead, and there are a lot of things where it's like redheads shouldn't wear red, like bright red. So there's like little things like that where I recently assisted someone, and the client had pink hair. And so that was like kind of a struggle, being like, okay, so now that she has pink hair, this gets rid of some colors that she cannot wear. Typically, it's hard because it's like when you see these photographs, like there are a lot of times that's where we see it's a lot of imagery online. Some, like a lot of times too, you are pulling in person, but it's like you have to really just try it on and see how it is, and from there you'll both know. And it's also hard too, because when you're in a fitting, a lot of times, like your client, they're no makeup, hair's greasy, like it's like it's not the full. It's like I have a guilty pleasure, so yes, the dress, and it's like when they're in the bridal gown, and then suddenly they put on the what is it called?
The veil, the veil, the bridal veil, yeah.
The veil.
Hey, I know that. I don't even work in fashion.
So the veil, and then suddenly they're like, oh my god, I can see it.
Right.
But it's like you do have to have an imagination. Like you have to be able to see what this look will look like when you're all dolled up. But also too, the thing is, when you have a look, the look isn't complete without hair and makeup. So that's why that's also a very collaborative thing, because it's like, if you've got a cool, edgy look, you shouldn't just do natural, or it's like, why not go full out with it? Why not do slicked back hair and then smoke eyes or something like it's all a part of the image, and it all creates together. And so but that's hard too, because we don't want to tell someone else how to do their job. Right. So that's where it gets a little tricky, where you're the clothing are kind of the base, and what everything should revolve around. But also, if you're not close with the person, you don't want to tell them what to do.
Yeah, you don't want to tell them, here's how you will dress.
This is how you will do their makeup, and if you do it badly, I will make you start over.
Right. Yeah. Now, while of course not revealing any kind of industry secrets that you're not supposed to talk about, are there any, just things that we may not think about when we think about clothes and fashion and styling, just a fact that you'd say, here's a fun thing you might not know about the work that we do, that we actually spend 8 hours a day, cleaning the clothes or something, something like that.
Mostly the heavy lifting is really a big thing, but also too, there have been times where it's a lot of times people going, here's the fun story. There was Jennifer Aniston went to a premiere once, and her dress was some was a dress where if she moved in some way, it would wrinkle. So she was in her limousine and literally laid down. She's full on like laid down in the limousine just because it was like, if she, because she needed to get the photo, and after the photo she could do whatever she needed to do.
Yeah, okay.
So like something like that. And then recently, like, I know many people where it's like, I haven't run into this yet, but like where suddenly you fit somebody and they're, you know, as a female, they're on their period and like, you know, maybe put on a couple pounds and the zipper breaks. So then you have to literally sew them into the look.
Oh my God. Oh, like it's just we're sewing you into these clothes.
That obviously happened to a stylist I know where the zipper fully, like, it broke, and then every time the client breathed, it would go down. So she had to sew, like, had to do all this. And once again, we're not seamstresses. Like, we're a lot of, we should know how to sew, but like that's not what we're. And a lot of times we'll have a seamstress at a fitting because like things don't typically like fit perfectly, and you're able, like, even if it's too small, you can make it. You can add fabric, you can make it work, but the day of it's supposed to fit perfectly, and when it doesn't and things hit the fan, shit hits the fan.
Speaking of that, actually, kind of, you know, these different kinds of events. You know, we mentioned movies a couple minutes ago. I mean, what sort of events do you work on? Like, is there sort of a category where it's going to be publicity stuff, or is it just like all across the board, like any situation where they need a person to look good, right? Like you can be called in to do that, or is it like, you know, some people, right? They'll be like, no, you know, TV. If they're like a gaffer or something, they're like TV pilots. They're like, we shoot a ton of those in this city or something. Like a category that you really specialize in, or does it really not matter?
No, actually it does. So a lot of times, like I would say there's celebrity red carpet, and I do think there are. A lot of people can do both, but I have a lot of friends. I like musicians.
Okay.
Because I feel like musicians a lot of times, they can be so off that like they can go full out because they are their own product and they're trying to sell themselves, whereas an actor kind of has to stay neutral. Yeah. And like they can look good, but like there's a reason why it's like a lot of times actors can't be covered in tat. A lot of them are, but you know, they have to be more neutral. So it's like there is a part where you can have more fun with a musician, but a lot of times it's like, so like red carpet, a lot of people, there are people who specialize in red carpet styling. There are people who do street styling, and like that's what they, you know, really specialize in. And that's because, you know, all those paparazzi photos of the celebrities walking, a lot of times they were at a fitting, and those are not just like, not that the actor or musician can't put things together, but a lot of times those are from a fitting. Okay. And then there are people who do live performances, because that's a whole different ballgame.
How is that a whole different ballgame?
So a lot of times, because like with live performances, so brands for one do not want you're not going to get really a loan for that, because if there's a artist who is, let's say like J-Lo. So J-Lo's on, anyway, okay, let's not use J-Lo because I don't want to lend to J-Lo. Okay. We're just going to,
someone else.
Someone else. If you think about it, they have a concert run and it's like 15 to 60 shows. Those clothes are not going to be like usable after. Right. So they don't want to lend or loan, like those people will gift, but a lot of times too, if you have like a J-Lo, Dua Lipa, you're gonna do a custom piece, because it's like, it's something where it's like you want, and that's when you can reach out to designers and really get those like cool custom pieces, because then they'll probably make multiple of them just in case one gets ruined. That person, also artists, have like someone touring with them in case like something rips, so someone can sew it, all that kind of stuff. And then also the backup dancers, like a lot of times those are custom pieces. So it's just like a different realm, because also with custom, you have basically the ability to be the designer.
Yeah. Okay.
They'll sketch you an idea, and then you can be like, nope, I want to do this, like let's change it around and stuff like that. So it's like a collaborative thing, but it's a one of a kind custom piece. So it's really cool, but it's also has its own, difficulties and everything.
Have you done much of that? Sort of like
I've dealt with
design, designing actual outfits and clothes.
I've dealt with customs before, not too much,
Okay.
but I've seen a lot of people do it, and like it is a very cool, fun process, but also it's like you have to kind of go with people that you trust, because also like you're not getting this for free. You are paying for this service, and you're like, hopefully it turns out the way you want it to. And also you gotta, like, that's the thing where it's like you gotta give them plenty of time, and it's just it's a fun, cool thing, but it has its own problems.
That's very interesting. I mean, and actually, you mentioned J-Lo, and then we're like, well, we'll use someone else, right? But the fact is, you're still around lots of very famous people on a very regular basis, but you're working with them in a very normal kind of way, right? You're not the person where you're taking pictures of them when they're at a gala, or you're kind of just, okay, hey, so we need to do these clothes now. You're gonna, what do you think about this and that and stuff? What is that whole process like, where you're just working with someone who's known by hundreds of millions of people, but just to you, they're just like, we're gonna work on this now?
I mean, luckily, I feel like it really helped because, like, back in my actor days, I did a lot of catering.
Oh, interesting.
We did catering for, like, Emmys and stuff. So, and so I, like, definitely, had some people where I was, like, starstruck, and I was like, you gotta get your shit together.
Yeah.
So, don't get me wrong. There's a list of celebrities where I'm like, if I had to work with them or be in a room with them, I'm like, but like, but you just keep your cool and stuff like that, because it's like, even so, like, I know a stylist I've worked with, she loves Gwen Stefani, and so she's done Gwen Stefani's backup dancers, and even she's like, I just love Gwen Stefani, and like, but once again, it's like you see them in a room together and you would never know, because it's like you just have
I mean, I suppose, you know, it's like anything, right? You have to work with people, and you're just like, all right, we're going to do this now, so I'm going to be professional.
They're just people.
Right, they're just people. And you're like, we're going to do this now, we're going to be professional about it. I mean, you know. So.
And especially, like, also with, like, it's funny because as a stylist, like, you meet someone, and typically it's like, hey, like, I just met you, can you please get naked now? Because, like, we have to help them change and stuff like that. So you don't really get to know someone real fast. So at that point, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna sit here while Gwen Stefani's naked, be like,
right. Can I get a selfie with you, Gwen?
Yeah. Thanks, girl. So it's one of those things where you're like, we're in this together.
That's, I mean, I didn't sort of even think about that with clothes, but that's exactly right. Like, you're gonna be, it's the equivalent of like, okay, you're in like the dressing room with, whoever. And it's just like, we gotta get it done. So.
And a lot of times, like, too, it's like, not to like, but there are times with like, this is a part of the world that people don't see. It's like, we're sitting there, some women will wear like something very low cut. We're the ones with putting boob tape on them.
Yes.
So, like,
right.
We're like, they're fully like naked, and we're taping their bodies up to try to like make this work. So then when you're literally like cupping someone's boob and taping them, you're like, we're close. We're good.
Well, so to that actually, do you, I suppose, when it comes to men versus women, right? Like, is there a rule where you're like, I'm only going to work with women, or I can work with men, but I can work with women, but I'm only going to work with men in certain conditions? Like, how does that sort of play out?
We'll work with both, but it's funny because typically it's like, with women, women to women, we're like, oh, like, we'll change in front of each other. But if like, it's like kind of the unspoken thing. So like every fitting I've had with a man, he'll go to the bathroom and change.
Interesting. Okay. Yep. So so you'll still work with everyone, but it's just a different dynamic. Okay, when it comes to the specifics of that. No, I mean, this is like fascinating stuff. Honestly,
and also too, it's like no matter what client you have, you always like you ask permission. You're like, is it okay that I'm touching you? Like, even if it's our job, you're like, I'm not gonna just like grab you, and like man, woman, like, doesn't matter. Like, it's a very interesting way. And I remember the first first fitting I ever assisted on, and like the actress came down and just completely stripped, and I was like, this is how this works.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And after a while, then you just
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah, I also wonder too if that, you know, not to generalize here, but you know, a lot of men, they're gonna have like the tuxedo look or the look of just, here's more of a, I don't want to say a standard type of clothing, but it's a bit more typical of what most men are going to wear, whereas it seems, you know, some women, there's a really wide range of like the kind of outfits and dresses that they're going to have. So I could see in some cases that also might, does that naturally lean you more towards, let's say, working with women on like the really interesting and intricate stuff, less so than men, because it's more like generic kind of what they're going to wear?
Not quite. So the thing is too, it's like, I feel like it's I mean, also too, it depends on the person, because like right now I do think we're having a great part of fashion where a lot of even the men are being more androgynous.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like we have the Harry style, like wearing dresses, which like
you know what that is? We will continue. We'll just continue this conversation, but we just hit our 15-minute timer.
I had to finish a Golden State.
Okay, we're gonna keep talking about this, but we have to move to our next drink.
Leave it on Harry style.
Which is going to be Ace. This is a guava flavored cider. Now, I don't know about you. I've never had a guava flavored cider in my life.
I don't think it was Ace though. I forget. Like I feel like it was just like some random one where they're like, we think we have guava, and I'm like, I don't even know what guava is.
Jerry's Local Cider
Yeah,
Corporation. Yeah.
Good old Jerry.
I don't know much about, I mean, I know it's one of these tropical fruits. We are setting the timer for 15 minutes and go.
All right.
And cheers. Let's take a sip of this.
It's interesting.
Well, what do you think about that?
You do not like it.
No. I don't dislike this. This is interesting. Would you like to go first and what your initial thoughts are?
Well, it's like I said, I had the guava the one time.
Okay.
It's funny because it's like, it's fruity and not at the same time. I don't know how to describe it.
It's the thing with guava, and I've not had guava a lot. I'm not an expert on this fruit by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got like a tropical sweet fruity flavor, but then there's this strange, almost like I describe it as like if you're eating a fruit, right, and you get to like the pithy inner part where it's a little almost dry for some reason, like it feels just kind of like little fruit kind of strings and stuff, like bits of like an outside of an orange or something. That has a little bit of this. There's a slight dryness to it, like at the end, but not dry in the Magner sense of like crisp dry.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's dry like fruit that doesn't have moisture in it, flavor dry, where you're tasting like the fibers and stuff. I think, am I making this up? As guava a particularly fibrous fruit? I don't know. I don't even know what a guava looks like, to be honest.
I've never had guava.
I know what a mango. I imagine it's being similar to a mango, but whenever
I would assume so.
Guava, it's always a flavor of something. It's never like, here's a piece of fruit. This is what a guava looks like.
Yeah.
So I guess I should read up on that. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've had guava juice a couple times, and that's kind of what this tastes like. It's like guava juice.
Like spiked guava juice.
Yes. This tastes like spiked guava juice.
I feel
that's
like
exactly
that's
right. Yeah.
Because it's like cider. It's like it's in the cider family, but you're like, but this is not apples.
Yes.
Like it's just like now we're just having spiked juices.
That's I think this tastes like I'm drinking a spiked guava juice. So yeah, that works for me. I think it's always nice to try new things. Yeah. Try different combinations of what we normally have. So Harry Styles, we'll finish up on this, yes, and the changing nature of men's fashion.
Yes. So it's funny too. Like it's just you going into it too. I was like, oh, men will be so much easier to style, and it was so wrong. Also, men's sizing are so weird. You guys have the weirdest sizes. Like
I don't even know what are the sizes.
Yeah, well, it's like
typical men, by the way. It's like
it's with like your pant. It's like you have to do like 30 by 32.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well that's. I mean, I'd say.
And then with like jackets and stuff, like you have like neck measurements.
There's neck measurements. there's arm measurements, there's the, well, you know, all of the
I know,
things
but
are,
it's like
you know.
insane.
Yeah.
Like we're literally like, yeah, you're a size 2. Well, but if you're short, we'll add petite. Like
Okay,
you know,
okay.
it's like it's nothing like that.
See, I don't know. I mean, speaking as a guy here, I mean, I feel that makes sense though, because you have these different dimensions. You've got like, well, what is your waist size
That's
relative to your
fair.
pant
That's
size?
fair. You guys are just more precise than we are.
Whereas, yeah, it seems to be a common, I think, very valid, you know, concern
Yeah.
about a lot of women, where it's just like you have the size.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what if my body is a little bit different given the size? It's like, well,
True.
too bad. Sorry.
Not sure why are men more precise.
I don't know, but it does seem that it would seem to be better, I think, for a lot of women if there was a little bit more of a sense of like specific measurements when it
Yeah.
comes to the design of clothes.
Yeah.
Because again, it's something I often hear, this idea of just like, here's the dress, it's this size, like figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
But Harry Styles, where was I going with Harry
Oh,
Styles?
the
because
end, the
he's
changing, yeah, he's more, yeah.
He's just very androgynous, and I do love his stylist. Harry Lambert is so talented and does so well with him. Where it's like, you know, he is. I will say, it's great. It's like no one can deny Harry Styles is a sex symbol, but yet he is still got some femininity to him.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is very not usual, you know. So, but in regards to like dressing men, and it's fun because it's like I feel like now men are going a little more, because there's like also Youngblood, who is like very rock, but like he'll wear skirts.
Right, yeah.
And so it's like I think more men are having more fun now, but you know, it's just it's fun. It's every person is so different, because you will have someone, you go into a fitting and they're like, I want to play, and you're like, great,
Right.
so let's put on a bunch of clothes. And then there are people who do not like. Fittings can be very emotional.
How so?
Because maybe it's because it's like we're dealing with sample sizes. So maybe
okay.
it's, you know, if things aren't fitting and they used to fit better because our bodies are always changing, that can be a little
okay.
So it's like it can be a very, some people just want to be in and out and like don't want to do it for too long.
Yeah.
And it's everyone's so different, and not to say that anyone is better to style over the other one. It's just kind of like, I feel like it's the stylist client relationship is a very close one, because it's like we have to kind of know your personal insecurities, and really like also our job is to like, when things do look good, we're not going to put you in anything we don't think you look good in.
Yeah.
And so it's like we really have to be their hype person, because it's a cruel, like also being a celebrity, it's very cruel, and a lot of people are very rude online about if anyone gains a pound, if they catch a celebrity at a weird angle. It's just like, and it's rough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It is, you know, the internet's a mean place, as we film this for the internet. So please be nice out there. We're just regular people. We're just having a drink, and we're talking about things to learn about the world.
Yeah.
So you've worked on, we mentioned earlier, a number of different things, but do you have a project, let's say recently, something that you can talk about, obviously. I don't want to, you know, breach kind of any sort of, you know, contract you sign, but any sort of project you've worked on recently that you want to talk about and tell me kind of what was maybe interesting about it, and give us a sort of a sense of, you know, like a day in the life of Nora Foley.
So interesting, earlier today before I got here, I did an editorial with this beautiful girl, Yvonne Chapman. So she's on CW's Kung Fu.
Okay.
And Ball of Joy. And it's the funny thing is too, it's like every editorial project's different. I did not get to talk to her like at all beforehand. So So like I literally met her today, and that's my first conversation with her.
Got it.
So I was like, I had to go off of her Instagram, just kind of guess, but like with this magazine, they're like, we want to have fun. So for me, I was like, I made the mood board, because I was like, I want to do, for me, like I always go on the edgier side. So I was like, she's just such like, she's in all these cool projects and stuff like that. And I was like, I actually want to do something different. I want to do like, it's like pops of color and no black at all.
Okay. What kind of colors?
All of them. Like,
Ooh.
it was like
All of them.
bright neon yellow, like blues, like everything, and like we'd mix and match them. So it's like, but then the thing why like today was not exhausting, but the morning started off exhausting. So it was, our call time was at 10 a.m.
That's pretty civilized, I would say.
yeah,
It's not like 4:30 in the morning.
No, not at all. And so, but we're currently flooding in Los Angeles. And I got a text at like 7 a.m. while I'm like starting to like prep my car for the fitting, because I had about like 2 racks of clothing.
Yeah,
so,
okay. Yeah, good amount.
And a lot of shoes too.
Ooh, yeah.
So I had to load my car, because you don't want that in your car overnight.
Yeah.
And the glams team, the hair and makeup, they could not get to set because of flooding. So our call time was at 10. We had no hair and makeup. I sure as hell cannot do hair and makeup for this. So we're like, what do we do? So we had to like reach out over Instagram. Like, all of us are scrambling to find someone to do hair and makeup in 2 hours.
Right, right.
Also, it's
no big deal.
And also,
Whatever,
it's a Saturday. Let's like Saturday,
Right.
8 a.m. Like, people are probably hungover. Like, we're like, oh well, shit.
Yeah.
And also, there are 2 award shows happening this weekend. So we're trying. Somehow, Yvonne like actually met like a makeup artist prior. Yvonne lives in Canada, and so prior she met this makeup artist, and she DM'd her being like, I know you wanted to work with me. Right. Are you available?
Now's your big chance.
Now's your big chance. And she came and like it was able to do it, and it was great.
Nice.
But like it was a stressful, because also for me, I was like, so are we doing this? Because also too, I just pulled a ton of clothing.
Yep.
And the thing is also, like, let's say they're like, okay, we're going to postpone till like next Saturday. There's a good chance those brands are like, we need those clothes.
Yeah,
back.
like you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No.
Like, we can see if no one else grabs it by then and give it back to you, but like we need that back. And so it's like, so it ended up working out. The shoot was great. So we joke, because like the Slay Magazine and we are doing another editorial 2 weekends from now with this actor Spencer McPherson.
Okay.
He's on this new show, School of Spirits, and thank God he's a guy. So, worst comes to worst, if for whatever reason hair and makeup weren't able to show up, we will make it happen.
Right. You'll make it work. He's a guy. I mean, like, there's no work that needs to be done on that.
Well, we only have hair for him anyway. Like, he'll like at that point, I don't know how to do hair. I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. It's fine.
So but like we're like, luckily crisis was averted, but like that was a first, because I mean it doesn't flood in Los Angeles, so here we are.
Well, in 2023 it floods in Los Angeles. Floods every week, apparently.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, they're luckily it's like there have been, it feels like there's always like, with our job too, there's always like these crazy things where it's like, I helped work with on the Grammys, and multiple people decided day of to change their looks entirely.
No, of course.
And so then we have to like source like shoes to wear with their new look. It's like it's always trying to like, okay, so this is a fire. I need to figure out how to blow it out.
Yep. Welcome to the world of film and television. Sounds like just another day in sunny Los Angeles, solving problems on the fly, and just magically getting it done somehow.
Yeah. Just like how we always love when people will text us being like, hey, I have an event tomorrow, and like, let's say like they text you at 9 p.m. in the night. I have an event tomorrow at 10 a.m. Could you style me? Right. Where am I getting these clothes?
Right. Yes. Well, that actually brings me to my next question, which is, if you had to pick the single thing you like least about your job, what would that be?
The heavy lifting.
The heavy lifting. Okay.
No, it's...
And heavy, you mean like physically lifting the clothes?
Yeah.
Okay,
there's a lot of clothes.
Right.
Like, we have a full rack full of clothing, and the thing is, no one's helping me. Right. I have like, I'll have like 5 garment bags. It's more of like the time it takes to like set up, stuff like that. I would say that, but also I would say that a lot of people don't understand how much time it takes to prep a fitting.
Yeah.
And
okay.
so
That makes sense.
because a lot of times it's like people do expect us to just pull clothes out of our ass. And as much as I would love to be able to
Just like magic, like wave a wand, make
wave
things
a wand,
appear for me.
Boom, here we go.
That sounds like film and TV producing.
As much as I would love that.
Yeah.
And then also too, it's hard because like, so when it comes to like, with paint stuff, it's like a lot of times it's like, it's hard because it's like our days, like a lot of times people make money per look, which is fine. And like that ranges whatever the look is, where you're starting, whatever. But it's like a lot of times it's like, if you have like multiple fittings for one look, like, damn, like I should have charged more. Like,
Yeah.
Especially, and then also too, it's like when, let's say like let's say you have a fitting, you have 5 looks, confirm 5 looks, and then last minute they're like, actually, I'm not doing the 5th look. Then you're like, well, I'm out that look.
Right.
I'm out that. And so it's like, that's kind of the part where you're like, there goes my like, what I was doing, but like at
All
the
the
same time, I'm
effort,
sure that's like any job where it's like, shit happens.
Yep. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Shit happens. There's nothing we can do about it. Sometimes there is, but often not.
Yeah.
But then on a more happy note, what about the thing you love the most about your job?
I love the relationship I make with my clients. I really love, because it's like for me, when I was in high school, I had a very low self-esteem, and clothing make me feel better. And so I love seeing, what I put on people and them instantly feeling better about themselves.
Yes.
And feeling good about themselves and knowing that they look great. And on top of that, I love the collaborative, what do they like? Like, because that's the whole thing. It's like, it's not just me. Like, it's a collaborative thing. Because,
oh my God. You know what that means? Well, we're going to finish this, but we got to...
Okay, I did it.
All right, we finished the guava.
Okay.
We're going to continue this.
We're going to continue.
But we're moving to our last one here, which is Southern California Cider Company, Life's a Peach, peach cider, a full pint. I don't believe I've ever had peach cider.
I've definitely had peach.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no. What am I thinking of? I think I have.
Well, I can't help you there, Nora.
It's hard because it gets to the point where you're like, I'm just having spiked juices.
Right,
So you're
right,
like, what
right.
juices have I
Yeah.
had?
Well, we'll see. And this is quite, and then last one there, and there we are.
Perfect.
Okay, so that is the last one. I wonder actually, we should be putting them up here. Does anyone care? Anyone out there? Do you want to just see for reference?
See for reference.
We'll put in order what we did. This went here, and then this went here, and then
Yeah.
just move them around the table. Yeah, something like that, roughly. And
At the end, we order our favorites.
yes, we will continue on the final leg here.
Yes.
Cheers. Let's see. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
good.
That is
That's good.
That is a good cider.
Uh-huh.
It's got a nice peach flavor to it,
Yeah.
it
But
tastes
it's
like a
not
peach.
too sweet.
It's not too sweet, no. It's like one of those nice semi-sweet peaches
Yeah.
where they're still a little firm. They're not all gloopy and just sugary.
Yeah. Well, that's why when you told me, you're like, here's some ideas. And I was like, absolutely no to Angry Orchard and Woodchuck.
Yes, right.
Sorry, no hate on
Sorry
that.
to Angry Orchard and Woodchuck, but yeah.
You don't sponsor us, so.
Whoa, we're not sponsored by anyone. My channel's way too small.
Yeah.
I wish. Yeah.
But if you do, never mind. You're the greatest.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, say whatever you need.
Yeah.
Okay. But what you liked best, you said, is the collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a collaboration where it's like, it's like even today there were things that I pulled that I was like, oh, that's not gonna work. And like I always start, anything being like, what do you gravitate towards? And she gravitated towards some of these looks. And I was like, okay, I can make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like one skirt that she loved. And so I was like, okay, so like it's just a skirt, so I'll put it with this this shirt, and we added gloves and like a cool pair of shoes. But it was like one of those things where I was like, I'm gonna be honest, if it was just me, I would have never shot that look.
Okay.
And yet, like, that's what she gravitated towards. And when it happened, I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, you know, it's like,
yeah, sure.
And then you're like, how did I not see this? And also I pulled the clothing, so I'm like, why didn't I see this?
Right.
But yeah, so that would be that. But,
Nice.
Yeah.
And then what do you hope for in the future?
I hope for more, really what I am going down, I love music, so I want to do more edgy musician tours, styling like that. I love customs. So yeah, that's kind of, but also red carpet's great.
Yeah.
I just hope to keep building great relationships and yeah.
I'm working on it. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we are now moving into our final part of the episode where we're going to turn the tables a little bit.
Yes.
And
you learned anything.
And see if I learn anything. Maybe. I hope so.
Yeah.
And Nora is going to be asking me some questions that I really don't have any background in, and see how bad I fumble the ball, or if I'm able to actually maybe become a future fashionista.
Oh, let's see it.
So, Nora, take it away whenever you're ready.
Okay, so the first one is, okay, so I forgot to mention this, but usually PR reaches out to you.
Okay.
Okay, a PR agent reaches out to you, and they're like, we have a client, you need styling tomorrow.
Okay.
What questions do you need to ask them? And also, should you say yes?
Okay. Ooh. Well, my first thought is I'm trying to just going through, my homework here, remembering what you taught me. It sounds like the timeline is not the next day on this stuff. The timeline's like a week and a half to 2 weeks. So my initial thought would be no, unless the answer was we're going to pay you a tremendous amount of money.
Let's say they are.
Let's say they are.
Yeah, let's say
Okay.
they are, yeah.
Okay. And I'm down to pull an all-nighter and get things organized or whatever
But also,
I need to do.
Can you do it? I'm also gonna say
maybe.
let's say they are messaging you at 9 a.m.
Okay.
It's 9 a.m. Friday.
Okay.
The event's Saturday. Do you do it?
Depends on how many clothes they want to go through. If they know what if they know exactly what they want and I got a really narrow window to hit, I say yes, and they're going to pay me a premium. If they are just I don't know what I want, help me out, inspire me, I'd probably say no, because I can't do a whole research project in 24 hours. How did I do? Is that
I actually think that's a very fair answer, because also I had that question and I was like, I actually didn't give you the heads up on that question. I didn't go through it, because it's there are ways where you could say yes, because also it could be if the PR is saying it's someone you've been wanting to style, you're like, how do I turn this down?
Right.
Or it's a tremendous amount of money, but there are things where it's it could be hey, it's a press event and it's super easy, and you're like, sure. It's just asking those right questions, being okay, what also too, it's are they sample? Are they what is the event?
Yes.
What is
yes.
da 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 da. So
okay.
I would say that's it. That's sure.
Hey, I passed. I didn't get an F. I'll take that.
We'll take it. We'll
take it. All right.
All right. So now I gotta remember my other questions. I do have them written down. Hold on.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hold
yeah.
on.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah.
guys.
That's okay. That's okay. No
Okay.
phones at the dinner table, Nora.
Sorry. Oh my god. It's so embarrassing. Okay. Yes. Okay. You have a client.
Okay.
You get 1 month's notice for a premiere.
Okay.
When do you start prepping?
Do I start prepping 2 weeks ahead of time?
I'd say that's a good time.
All right. Well, I'm just going off of I was trying to listen. What you told me. Yeah. Okay.
I'd say that's a good time.
Okay. I'm just that is 100% of that answer is just what you told me. So.
Oh my god, I can't ask this question because I didn't go over it. So
what?
Never mind.
Okay. All right.
I could ask it and you'll have no idea. But
What is the question? Yeah. No, I don't know what any of this is.
Great.
So.
Yeah, that's true. So for fashion assistants.
Okay.
What's the role difference between a first and second assistant?
Okay, well, I'm going to assume that the first is a slightly higher position than the second. So the first is going to do more important things than the second. I'm assuming that the first is the one who is, they're picking the clothes and they're working with the celebrity, and they're the one where they're putting the sticky tape on the body if they have to get the dress to fit correctly. And the second is sort of standing by, and they're carrying things, and they're yeah, here you go, and they're sort of doing like the little extra stuff, and the first will be saying like, oh, you need to get that thing like tucked in or whatever, and the second will say, yeah, okay, I'll do that, and I'll get that sort of thing done. This is just a complete, I'm just like shooting from the hip here.
That was
Wait,
right.
seriously?
Yeah, you were right.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, that's literally because like first
Oh, hell yeah.
do, like basically the first assistant's doing the market, doing the emails along with the
Yep.
stylist, and then the second is the one going to the showrooms, doing the pickups, doing
Okay.
like basically you were right.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
And exactly
Man.
at a fitting, that's exactly it. Where the first is the one like they'll be the one touching.
Yeah, they're gonna be, yes.
Yeah, they're
yes,
gonna be the one
yes.
touching. They're the one writing, but like they're the ones being like second, like hang this up, do this. So yes, you are right. That's wow. Okay.
All right.
All right.
That deserves a victory drink.
That sure do. Okay.
That's some good peach cider.
Okay. This is a good one.
Okay.
What's the difference between styling actors and musicians?
Ooh, well, I'm gonna also go back to I think what you said earlier. Actors, it's a more neutral look. You know, I kind of think of that, you know, the Oscars red carpet type stuff. You know, the clothing might be kind of interesting, but the general look is we just want you to look like beautiful people.
Yeah.
Right? Musicians is more, oh, if you're in a punk rock band, like we need to make you look like a punk rocker. Right?
Yeah.
There's a real specific look that you
Yeah.
need to hit with musicians that really sort of brings up the factor of
Totally,
like
yeah.
their music, you know?
I forgot to mention it also with an actor. I do think it's like, especially with a premiere, if it is a premiere that's like, let's say like, it's like, I don't know, like Schindler's List. Maybe you don't wear like a bright pink.
Yeah, maybe you don't have like.
So that's the thing I forgot to add. Being like, also
Yeah.
their project also dictates like,
Yeah.
like, okay, great. So we can't really go like too happy right
Yeah, Beast of No Nation, no magenta lipstick. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
your answer was right.
Okay,
That is
okay.
a little added bonus to the actors.
Yes,
where you're
I
like,
think that
oh,
makes.
great, cool.
Yeah, I think
like-
back to the Sixth Sense where it's like the funeral and the mom shows up in like all red
Yeah.
because she killed the kid.
killed the child.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
So if an actor shows up,
Okay. Big no-no.
okay.
All right.
Okay. Oh, this is I'm actually interested because I didn't fully go over this. So when you
It's the
are
idea,
in the
yeah.
assistant route,
Okay.
how do you really know you're ready to style your own clients?
Oh, geez. I mean, just for any job, you get positive feedback from people. People don't say that you don't know what you're doing. I would say if you're... So when you say styling your own clients, you mean you're not a second assistant, you're not even a first assistant.
You are your own boss.
You're your own boss,
you're-
okay.
You are.
Okay.
You are the celebrity stylist.
I mean, do you get the email from people and they say, hey, I want you to do it, not this other person? I have no idea.
So yeah, this is the only one you did not get right.
That's
That's
fine.
fair. We
That's
did not
fine.
go through it. We did not go through it.
Oh no, I'm happy to, you know, like I'm happy to just kind of make it up on the fly. It's way more fun that way, you know.
I would say, so one of the biggest things are, like I kind of went over, is the market part.
Yes.
A big part of that market is also the reason why you are a first assistant is because you get all these emails.
Okay.
So you get the Valentino emails. You get the Acme Studios emails. You do not, like, because once again, like, you have to be able to reach these people in order to style them.
Okay.
So I would say it's like once you have that market experience and you're able to have those connects and showrooms and stuff like that, that's when you're ready to
Got
style
it.
them.
Okay.
Because if someone reaches out to you and you have no emails, they're like, so what do I do?
Right.
And trust me, a lot of people will text me and be like, do you have the contact for this? And they'll like have a whole project and like give me all these like designers that don't have contacts. But I'm like, maybe you should assist more.
Maybe, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Well, are those...
I'll ask one more.
All right, yeah.
Okay, let me
Let's
think
keep them
about
coming.
Yeah, let's keep it. Okay. What for I'm trying to make one up on the fly.
Sorry, we'll just put a
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
here and we'll sort of, go into the
Do
next...
like a little like a
Speed it up.
okay.
Sound like
so,
little chipmunks, yeah.
with okay. Does Instagram followers affect styling?
Ooh, the answer is always yes. When it comes to number of Instagram followers in the modern world, the answer is always less. Oh, yes. Now, how many? Let's get into the weeds.
Guess
Okay.
how many?
Ooh.
Guess what really makes it, and also too, it's different for men and women.
Like male stylist versus female stylist?
No. So sorry, it's your celebrity client.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Your celebrity client, men and female.
Okay.
But their numbers do not have to be the same.
Okay.
So one person needs more followers and the other person needs less followers.
I suspect men need more followers than women. Is that correct? Really? Really?
Yeah.
And now we see the sexism in our society. Now we see the sexism in our society.
Yeah.
I'm shocked by that. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, I'm going to guess for any of this, it's 50 to 100,000 followers on Instagram, something like that.
I would for men or women.
Is the gap that big?
I
feel like if you're in like a public figure or like if you have less than, I don't know, tens of thousands, I think nobody cares. But I get that most people aren't going to have like millions, right? So it's probably in that sort of, like 50 to 100,000 kind of range.
I would say I recently did someone with 20,000 and that was low for a lot of people.
Okay. Yeah.
And but also I then styled a male and his was 50,000.
Okay.
And I got more bites because
Interesting.
I would say for men a good range is 100K.
Okay.
I would say for women it's 300K plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is quite a difference.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
3 times, not even like 20% more or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Man. I don't want to end it on a downer, but geez, it's so sad.
Okay, but
We'll do a final upper. So we don't
question.
end on a sad note where we're ruminating on the institutionalized sexism of Instagram.
No, let's talk about the samples. No kidding. My God, what's a happy question?
Happy question. Last one.
Last one. This is when you have the Jeopardy music playing.
It's all right. Again, we'll put another cut here. It's fine. Editors take note.
Okay, so then the happy question would be, okay. Set days. Do you think they're easier or harder than a fitting? And let's say you had a fitting prior to the set.
Okay.
So you have a fitting and a set. Which one is the easier?
We're assuming this is for a movie or something. Oh, I didn't even know I set an alarm. Well, we're gonna ignore that because this is the final stretch. So
no, let's say not a movie. Sorry, it's let's say a commercial music video.
Okay.
Something like that.
Ooh, well, what I would say is it probably depends on what you're filming. If set day is just you show up and you say, Crest toothpaste, buy it, and then it's that's it, that's your one line, it's probably not that hard. But if you've got to be wearing a fancy, crazy outfit for whatever reason, I don't know, then that might be very intense. But my general sense, just to film and TV, is set days are usually more involved if you've got to hit your marks and do all the stuff. I would say set days, but.
So I would say this is also up for interpretation. Everyone is different. I find set days so much easier.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because once again, it's let's say we had the fitting ahead of time. The look's confirmed. We have the look.
Wait, are we talking about set days in your department or
in my department? Oh my God.
All right. Well, that was that. Okay, let's reestablish something then.
I thought we were talking about.
No, I thought you meant for an actor. If I'm an actor, I was no, being on set's way harder.
No, for my department.
Okay, for your department.
No.
Okay,
I don't care about their.
I don't care about actors.
No.
Ugh. We'll backtrack a little bit here. Okay, so for your department, for sure, being on sets is not hard.
No, it's the best part because we had some people being my set days are more and hourly like assistants were like, sometimes we just sit around.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we steam the clothes. Like obviously shit can happen. Like that's not to say, but it's like, oh, they're the best.
Yeah.
It's like you get paid well. They've got crafty.
Oh.
They got food.
Crafty's
we
great.
actually get a lunch for once in like we never do lunch. So
Really?
like
Okay.
we like we're literally driving and eating. But like we get lunch like. Where, a lot of times they're out there doing the thing and you're like, great. I don't know.
Nice. Damn.
Yeah, so I think that's a happy note.
That is a happy note. All right. Well, and then finally, I guess, where can people find more information about you? Your Instagram, anything like that you'd like to promote on the channel?
Yeah. So Instagram is Nora, not with an H, not Nora.
Okay. So Nora
_Foley, Foley. So yeah, check me out.
Check her out. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Thank you so much for coming on, Nora.
Thanks for the cider.
Yeah, of course. This was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next time.